You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Storm, whatever weather, cold or warm, hopefully the time change didn't kick your ass as much today as it did yesterday, but it is the Not Monday Day edition of the Rick Robinson Show, otherwise known as Tuesday. So you survived Monday. For those of you working to get to Friday, you're a fifth of the way there. I don't know about you guys, but when I used to work the whole 9 to 5 Monday through Friday thing, the weirdest thing is it actually got to the point where Friday was more enjoyable than my weekends, because I realized that was what I looked forward to, was the weekend. But then the weekend came, and all I did was run errands and run around like a crazy person for the 2 days that I was off. And then the hardest thing is anymore, because most of the world has gone to a 24/7 schedule, but things like banks and doctors' offices and things like that haven't. It got to the point where I was having to take extra days off in the middle of the week sometimes just to get the things done that I couldn't get done on the weekends anymore. So yeah, the joys of working and living for the weekend. I will say again, if you are doing that, then I would strongly recommend finding a hobby of some sort that you might eventually be able to turn into some sort of monetary skill or monetizable skill, because working for the weekends kind of sucks. Anyway, so we're here, we're live. We have lots of stuff to talk about today, but we're going to be talking about some stuff. Now, everybody's talking about the congressional hearing, and we'll get to that in a minute. But I want to talk about this first, because this is part of what I've been trying to tell everybody for a long time. So we didn't talk much about the Oscars yesterday because I really don't care. But one of the things that I do want to talk about was this red hand pin that everybody was wearing. They don't seem to understand what it actually symbolized when they wore it. So for those of you that know, the Oscars is always like the left's playground to indulge in their orgy or virtue signaling and all that usual stuff of look how cool we are, look how awesome we are. And of course, this past Oscars was no different. The difference was that there was a little pin that was being worn by quite a few of them with a red hand with a black heart in the palm. Now that kind of seems innocent enough, right? But apparently, so the reason they were wearing this pin is because they want an immediate ceasefire, which would, if there was an immediate ceasefire, would mean that Hamas would still be in existence, and Hamas could slowly start building itself back up again. And keep in mind, the leader of Hamas has already said that the October 7th attack was just the first of many, and that they have to send a message to Israel, and they're going to do it again and again and again and again until Israel gets the message. So there were several people wearing these pins, and some of them are actually actors and actresses that I sort of liked until I realized that they were wearing this pin. So NPR reported quite happily on Monday that a notable accessory on Sunday's red carpet, by the way, I'm quoting from PJ Media right now, I should probably say that, that a notable accessory on Sunday's red carpet was a red pin featuring a hand with a black heart in the middle of it. Celebrities like Billie Eilish, Rami Youssef, Mark Ruffalo, who I kind of liked, wore the pins in support of Artists for Ceasefire, a group of advocates and artists that support the Israeli that opposes the Israeli Hamas war. The luminaries explain that the pin symbolizes collective support for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the release of all the hostages, and for the urgent delivery of humanitarian aid to civilians in Gaza. However, the explanation doesn't really seem to clarify very much. At first glance, it looks as if these enlightened artists are being soberly even-handed. And, so they want the release of all the hostages, they've already stated that, but they want an immediate ceasefire, which would again allow Hamas to not only survive, but eventually start thriving again. The other problem that I have with this is the imagery of the red hand, because I want to read this next part to you. Back on October 12th, 2000, two IDF reservists, Yossi Avrahami and Vitamin Norish, I'm sorry, I'm probably butchering their names, mistakenly entered the city of Ramallah, which was under Palestinian control. An enraged mob set upon them and lynched them, then mutilated their bodies. One of the killers, a Palestinian named Aziz Salah, recounted, "We were in a craze to see blood. I entered the room. I saw an Israeli soldier sprawled on the floor in front of the door. I came closer to him and saw a knife lodged in his back, near his right shoulder. I removed the knife and stabbed him in the back 2 or 3 more times. While others in the room continued to kick him, I put my hand over his mouth and the other on his shoulder in order to strangle him." Salah continued, I saw that my hands were drenched with blood, and so was my shirt. So he, of course, did what any other bloodthirsty murderer who knows that he is in the company of other bloodthirsty murderers might do. So, and I quote, I went over to the window and waved my hands at the people who were in the courtyard. The Times of Israel explains the disturbing image is deeply rooted in the memory of many Israelis and later became a symbol of the horrifying attack. The virtue signalers, which is what the left is known for, at the Oscars don't know it, but their pens recalled for many Israelis what has become emblematic of bloodlust, ruthlessness, and hatred of their enemies. And that was fitting. If the leftist actors get their way, there will be new massacres of Israelis and more Palestinians gleefully displaying the blood on their hands. Without realizing it, Oscar night showed the world what the result would be of the if the ceasefire was granted that all the supposed right-thinking people are calling for these days. So that was me kind of summarizing and at times quoting an article put out by PJ Media, Dateline today, and that was written by Robert Spencer. But this is kind of what I want to talk to you guys about. They are coming after you. They are coming after me. They are coming after everything that we love. And a lot of people don't seem to have any interest in stopping them. As a matter of fact, a lot of people seem to be interested in helping them rather than stopping them. Just as we go into this a little bit further, this whole, they're coming to get you thing. This is from the morning briefing, again at PJ Media, and was written by Stephen Kruger. New York Fire Department brass are bringing back Soviet knock at the door vibe. Happy Tuesday, dear Cruiser morning briefing friends. Anastasia felt that her sharing sessions were having a real impact with the Conrad Bain Memory Society. The worst of leftism is taking over the upper echelons of a variety of institutions in the United States. Pretty much sure I've been saying that for a long time. It's both weird and disheartening to see highly educated military and corporate brass kowtowing to an ideological demographic that would prefer they not exist. Maybe it's the constant overpressure of the Democrats that does it to some people. That would explain a story out of New York involving rabid Trump-hating Attorney General Letitia James and some members of the New York City Fire Department. Here's the setup. New York is proving once again that it's the East Coast location where common sense goes to die. Last week, Attorney General Letitia James gave a speech at a New York Fire Department promotion ceremony. Why was she invited in the first place? Oh, I guess it goes on to explain that. But anyway, James had been invited to speak at the event, which was held to honor the Reverend Pamela Holmes, the department's second female chaplain and the first black woman to hold the title. Before she even took the stage, some of the firefighters started voicing their displeasure with the decision she made involving the Trump case. As they chanted, "Trump, Trump, Trump," James asked for quiet. No, she didn't actually ask for quiet. She told them to simmer down. While the firefighters weren't in the mood to quiet down and continued to express their displeasure with the chief witch of New York State's witch hunt for Trump. The firefighters were exercising their rights to be critical of a public official, even if it was a little light on tact. Madam Attorney General is a blue state loon who is drunk with power, however, and she is not amused by common folk who disagree with her. She wasn't going to let this one go. As the chief law enforcement officer of the state, James has some vindictive clout to throw around. She immediately threw some of it at the FDNY higher-ups. Unbelievably, FDNY Chief of Department John Hodgers sent an email to department leaders. Hodgins sent an email to department leaders warning of an impending investigation by the Bureau of Investigation and Trials. I always forget that group is called BITS. That just seems weird to me. Into the booing and Trump chants directed at James In true SS style, Hodgins has urged those involved to come forward voluntarily to avoid being pursued by the department, which is currently reviewing video footage of the entire ceremony. Milt shares the contents of Hodgins' email, and it's really creepy. You would have thought that the Trump chanters assaulted James and made off with her jewelry. The gist of it is that the firefighters who damaged the delicate feelings of Letitia James had better come forward for their comeuppance, and that the New York City Fire Commissioner doesn't want to have to hunt them down. Sounds kind of KGB-ish, does it not? But it gets creepier. In her article about the story at Town Hall, my colleague Sarah Arnold, which again I'm quoting from PJ Media, writes that the firefighters who are identified will be summoned to HQ to be educated about the inappropriateness of their behavior. There was no mention of gulags, but this story is still in progress. Democrats have been very outspoken when advocating for the public harassment of politicians with whom they disagree. They're going to have to get used to the fact that everybody can play by their rules. Letitia James is a very polarizing figure and ran headlong into an uncomfortable truth for the Democrats. There are vocal pockets of Trump support even in the bluest of places. Oh, and they're getting bigger thanks to the very same insanity that we're discussing right now. Just saying. Just saying. So yeah, despite the media trying to put a bit of a spin on this, it looks like there is in fact going to be an investigation into the people that voiced their displeasure with Letitia James. And again, this is my whole point. You know, for years when Trump was in office, you heard everybody, find them, go see where they are. If you see a Trump cabinet member or somebody that you know voted for Trump in a restaurant, be vocal. Let them know they're not welcome. Push back at them at the gas stations. Do whatever you got to do to let your voice be heard. But it's not okay when our side starts playing by the same rules. I'm over it. Because the simple truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, they are coming after everything that you and I hold dear, and we seem to be letting them do that, and I, for one, am not going to let them do that anymore. It is part of the reason why I've spent the last several months trying to get back into some semblance of fighting shape, because I'm pretty sure at some point we're going to have people doing crazy things, and I fear it maybe sooner rather than later. I will not be one of the ones firing the first shot. I will, however, refuse to not defend myself because I didn't start it. I didn't start any of this. I was a businessman, minding my own business, trying to build a life for my family, and then Obama came on the scene and the economy nearly got wiped out. And then we got a 3-year reprieve from Trump, I guess, because they still managed to undercut him for that last year or so. And then over these last 3 years, things have gotten even worse. I was just telling my team that we'll be downgrading one of the platforms that we use to a lower cost. Primarily, it was originally because we're going to a different platform for live broadcast, because then I don't have to pay the separate cost for music licensing anymore. But it's also simply because even though my income level is basically the same as it was, things just aren't going as far as they were. I just did another food order today to get food for a few days and blew another almost $100. And that was cutting corners again. I've purchased in the last week enough food for about 9 days, and I've spent over almost $220. That's crazy to me. That's crazy to me. So yes, they are coming after everything that you love. And if you don't believe me, on the way to break, I want to remind you that they are coming after your gas stove. They are coming after your gas-powered car. They're coming after your gas-powered lawnmowers. They're coming after everything that you are used to. They don't want you owning anything. They want you leasing everything, which is one of the reasons why everything is getting so much more expensive. They are pricing seniors out of their homes because they're starting to make home insurance so unaffordable that seniors can't afford to keep their homes insured, which, if they still have an active mortgage, means that they can get in all kinds of trouble and eventually even possibly have their house taken away, depending on what the rules are there, because they don't want us owning anything. Owning things denotes freedom. these people don't like freedom. They don't want freedom. They want absolutely nothing to do with freedom. They want you to have the illusion of freedom, which is primarily in place now, but they don't want you to actually be free. All right, so on that note, we're going to go to break. We will be right back. You are listening to the Tuesday edition of the no, you're not. The Tuesday edition of the Rick Robinson Show. Sorry, I do way too many podcasts. We'll be right back.
I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. It's in the night away. It's in the night away. He drinks a whiskey drink, he drinks a vodka drink, he drinks a lager drink, he drinks a cider drink. He sings the songs that remind him of the good times. He sings the songs that remind him of the better times. Oh, Danny boy, Danny boy, Danny boy. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. I get knocked down, but I get up again. You're never gonna keep me down. Listen the night.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
With conviction, I write truths and never fiction. My disease is what you fed. I can't stop but my ambition, like a missile on a mission. I'm a force that you will dread. Set me on fire, set me on fire. Whoa, whoa. I'm still alive, I'm still alive. Whoa, but you didn't think that I come back to life.
Welcome back into the program, ladies and gentlemen. Again, this is the Tuesday edition of the Rick Robinson Show, coming at you live right here from KLRNradio.com. We try to do this thing every Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. I'm actually debating on whether sliding early or sliding later, because it just seems like, I don't know. I've become an insomniac, so I'm trying to train myself to write later at night, and then by the time later at night gets here, I'm not in the mood. So then I'm like, yeah, I'll just get up early, and then I never get up early. So I haven't decided what I'm doing yet. I do know that I have lots of catch-up to do on writing, so hopefully we'll be doing that in the next few days here and there. But honestly, part of it's because there's just so much deliciousness happening in the news that half the time I don't want to turn it off. I spent most of the morning watching the congressional hearings over the Hur report, so we'll probably be getting into that some second hour, because there's some fun stuff there. But in keeping with how bad everything has gotten, and just so you know, they really are trying to come after everything that you and I hold dear. This is from our friends over at The Blaze. Again, Dateline Today, written by Andrew Shapatos. It's not happening. High school backs down after student refuses to remove American flag from his truck. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, that's probably California. It's probably New York. Anywhere liberally leftist, right? Well, let's start reading and find out. School officials in southeastern Indiana, you heard what I said, apologized to parents after a student was asked not to fly an American flag from the back of his truck on school grounds. Cameron Blasek was asked by school staff at East Central High School to remove the flag from his truck. The school district later explained that the concern was due to the idea that should one flag be flown, all other flag types would be allowed. This was not explained to Blasek when he was approached by a vice principal and counselor. Hey, Cameron, you've got to remove the flag from the back of your truck. I said, it's not happening. Blasek told the local outlet, I told them it would be there all day today and first thing in the morning tomorrow too. Then they said, if you don't take it down, you're getting written up for insubordination. Then they said we could go to the office and talk about it more if I would like. Later in the same day, Blasek was called to the office to discuss the situation again. He showed school officials that he was following both laws related to the flag and the school's code of conduct. I read through the Central 2023-2024 handbook, and the word flag wasn't even mentioned in the parking lot or driving section. The only section it's mentioned in is in the flag twirling section, the teenager told WCPO Channel 9 News. After the boy told his parents, his father appeared to make a lengthy post on Facebook regarding the incident. In my opinion, if you're offended by an American flag, then leave the United States of America. If this was any other flag, would something have been said? The father asked. I don't know, but we cannot be offended by freedom of speech, and why does someone in the position of a high school principal think it's okay to take away our freedom of speech? We stand by our son. The father also claimed that the school intended to change the rules regarding flags the following school year. My son was also told it will be in the student handbook next year that students cannot fly the American flag. The day following Blasic's meeting with his educators, nearly 24 other students showed up with flags attached to their cars. Blasic was called to the principal's office nonetheless. Principal Black told me the school has a right to request that I remove the flag. Blasic said I pretty much told him, well, you are just asking me to, but I don't have to. The principal reportedly told the child it was okay to fly the flag for the remainder of the year, seemingly confirming what the boy's father had claimed about the upcoming rule changes. A subsequent letter was sent to parents by the principal that expressed that the school encourages expression of patriotism and pride in our nation among our students and staff. Sure you do. That's why you're yelling at a kid about flying an American flag. After careful consideration and recognition of the importance of the U.S. flag as a symbol of unity and national identity, I am pleased to inform you that we are allowing the display of the U.S. flags by students in the East Central parking lot. I understand the significance of the symbol and the pride it instills in our students, teachers, and the entire school community. I share this pride, Principal Tom Black wrote. The problem is it doesn't inspire pride in educators anymore. Educators would, in most cases, I can't say all because I have family members that teach, but in a lot of cases, most teachers would prefer that we flew the communist flag. And that's just something that we need to start coming to terms with. So this is interesting. Superintendent Andrew Jackson. Sorry. That guy's parents must have hated him. Can you imagine all the crap he got as a kid? How you doing, Andrew Jackson? The school's actions by stating that the administration was under the misunderstanding that if we allow students to display the U.S. flag in the parking lot, then we must allow them to display all other flags as well. They were concerned that we would be required to allow flags that are controversial or even offensive, Jackson added. That's not what it was. They can say that's what it was all they want, but modern day people in this country find the American flag offensive. If they didn't find the American flag offensive, there wouldn't be such a call to change the American flag. We've talked about this on a lot of podcasts that I've done over the years, and how many times have they said it's time to redo the American flag and make it more inclusive? Because the flag denotes slavery, the flag denotes this, the flag denotes that. They can tell you all they want that this was just because we were afraid that people would start flying other flags, but that's not what it was. These people do not like this country. Most of the people that are in positions of authority right now do not like this country. And that is my biggest problem with all of this. That's just like I saw Krasenstein today tweeting out, or I don't know if he actually tweeted it today, but today is when I noticed it, that it was apparent that Donald Trump was guilty of raping E. Jean Carroll, or she wouldn't have won her civil case. Ladies and gentlemen, the bar for civil cases is much different than the bar for criminal cases. Donald Trump has never legally been convicted of rape. Donald Trump has never actually been legally convicted of anything like what this woman is throwing at him. And the simple fact of the matter is the bar is much different. Now, does that mean that I think he may have done it? I have no way of knowing whether he did or he didn't. I do know that we need to stop acting like the people that we are putting in positions of authority are wholesome and pure and have America's interest at heart, because Donald Trump is a businessman. He may love this country, but part of the reason why he loves this country is because this country is one of the best places that once you learn how to do it, you can make all the money you want to make. And that's the truth of it. I make no bones about it. I'm not telling you not to vote for him. I'm just telling you we need to start having clear hearts and minds when it comes to these people, and wide open eyes, because nobody that we are putting in positions of authority give a damn about you or me. None of them do. They can tell you they do, but they show you over and over and over again that they don't. And I said it yesterday. I'm voting for Donald Trump because of the crap sandwiches that are on the buffet of election day in front of me. He is the most palatable crap sandwich that I can see. That doesn't mean I like him. That doesn't mean I wanted him to be the nominee, but he is. It's a foregone conclusion at this point that he's going to be. And simply put, he's still one of the better options that we have to get the country back on track, even if I don't like some of his personal opinions. It's just like somebody was yelling at him yesterday because he supposedly said Hitler did some good things. Well, guess what? Our president at the time recognized that Hitler did some good things, because Hitler's the reason we have an interstate. Now, you can shout me down, you can scream and yell, don't give that man credit for doing anything because he was evil. You know what? Some of the most evil people on the planet, throughout history, have been the ones driving technological innovation. Doesn't mean I have to like them, but it does mean that I have to understand that they have had both positive and negative impacts on history. Now, Hitler's negative impacts will forever and always outweigh his positive impacts. But for somebody to say, well, Hitler did some good things too, that's not in dispute. This is why we have such a hard time in this country. This is why now George Washington has to be erased, because he owned slaves. This is why Thomas Jefferson has to be erased, because it doesn't matter what good he did, because he was still involved in something that was evil. And yes, slavery is evil. But what I love about today, what I love about the world that we live in today, is we can talk about human trafficking all day long, but nobody talks about the fact that you're actually discussing modern-day slavery. We act like we've gotten rid of slavery. All they did was relabel it, just like the left does with everything. The left changes the meaning of words all day, every day. They change what they call things all day, every day. And it's not us that does that. It's them. So, again, since we now know which side has more of a penchant for wanting to rename things, relabel things, and make things confusing by making things mean what they don't, who do you think is more primarily probably involved in human trafficking? Again, this is just more proof that they are coming after everything that you and I hold dear. They have already stripped you of 99.9% of your freedoms and have made you, instead of a free human being, a free-range human being on a tax farm. We have talked about this over and over and over again. And yet, here we are. Because these same people that are trying to convince you that they have your best interests at heart are using the CIA and the FBI to try to take out the candidates that you may agree with. They have used the CIA and the FBI to take out people before. Do you guys not understand that within 2 weeks, or what was it, somewhere around 2 weeks to a month before JFK was assassinated, he passed an executive order that pulled all the teeth out of the Federal Reserve and took away their ability to just print money whenever they wanted to, and he was shot just a few weeks later? Do you think that was a coincidence? How many times have we talked about the Federal Reserve and why they wanted the Federal Reserve and why they wanted it to be a private bank wrapped in a flag so everybody misunderstood that it was actually not a government entity? Because they needed unlimited money, because before the federal income tax was passed, before the Federal Reserve was passed, and I know I go through this a lot, and I apologize for those of you that have heard it before, we had the most Republican way of funding our government ever. They could come to you and tell you what it was they wanted to do, what it was going to cost, and where you could purchase the bonds. And if you agreed with that concept, you purchased the bonds. If you didn't, you didn't do that. And that was how they determined what got funded or what didn't. Once they instituted the federal income tax, once they started unbridling the Federal Reserve, the American government was extended an open and unending line of credit, and therefore didn't need your approval to fund its pet projects anymore. They have been coming after everything that you and I love and hold dear for longer than most of us have been alive, and we just didn't know because nobody was telling us, because they didn't want us to know. And then when that didn't work, that's when they started coming up with the scare tactics. In the 1960s, we were going to freeze to death again. In the 1970s, we were going to burn up again. In the 1980s, the ozone layer was going to disappear. In the 90s, it was, acid rain. Acid rain was the big one in the late 80s, early 90s. And then in the late 90s, early 2000s, the ice caps were going to be gone by 2015. Have you ever noticed that it's always about 10 years? Just long enough to be halfway through a generation so that by the time the generation who was told that is aware that it didn't happen, a new generation is coming up and they can scare the new one. Now, I'm not saying good things didn't happen out of some of these things that scared the crap out of us. We got rid of Aquanet. I know every woman that was a teenager in the 80s is currently crying, and I apologize. But we got rid of Aquanet, which meant you weren't having to spend hundreds of dollars a week on hairspray to make your hair stand on end, because it didn't have to be a thing anymore. It honestly probably did help heal the ozone layer a little bit. But we also have to understand that the impact that we have on the overall health of this planet is so minuscule that even if we destroy ourselves, the planet's going to keep going. So this whole idea that man can destroy this planet is asinine. We may not be on it anymore, but it's not going to be destroyed. Even if we launched every nuclear missile we had all over the world, yeah, most of us, if not all of us, would be gone. The planet would still be here. Life would probably start evolving to handle radiation more. For the hundreds of thousands of years that there would be radiation everywhere. Because nature finds a way. Nature always finds a way. Except with us. I said this on Sunday, I said this yesterday. China and the other communist countries, because they're still communist. They are communist wrapped in capitalism now, but they're still communist. That includes Russia, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. But the communist countries that hate us and the dictatorial countries that hate us have started figuring out how to take advantage of the fact that we want to be loved, admired, and respected by everyone on the planet. Because as Americans, that's really all we want. We want people to accept us. We want everybody to be okay with us. We want to be everybody's friend. We want to help everybody build a better life. We want to do this. We want to do that. And because of that, China is now, along with other countries that hate us, funding and pushing this whole idea of transgenderism. Because they know that we are the worst country around when it comes to the scorpion and the frog parable. Well, almost. Because an interesting thing just came out today, and we'll be talking about that. We're going to go ahead and take a break, because breaks have been a little bit weird today, but we need to take another one. So we're going to take a quick break, finish up hour 1, and then come back with hour 2. So hope everybody's having a great Tuesday afternoon. Thank you so much again for hanging out with us today. And I am Rick Robinson. You are listening to my show, and we are live right here on KLRMradio.com. We'll be back after these commercial messages.
I think I've thought myself to death. I was born without this fear. Now only this seems clear. I need to move, I need to fight. I need to lose myself tonight. Whoa, go with me now. I'm gonna take you down. Whoa, go with me now. I'm gonna show you how. I think with my heart and I move with my head.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq, Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Stay down. I never stay down for long. I never stay down for long. I never stay down.
program, I don't know what happened. Apparently, I fell down a time warp because I could have swore I just hit the ads like 2 seconds ago, and then and they were already done playing. So either they didn't load right, or I'm having a stroke. Could be either one. Either one. I don't know. Anyway, so we're back. We're live. We've got a few minutes until we get back around to top of the hour for part 2 of the Rick Robinson Show. However, before we get into that, I feel like I have to talk about this for a minute, because this is just absolute genius, and it honestly, it kind of made me feel a little happy. So everybody knows, if you've ever listened to this show, that bullying has been a problem in this country for a long time. And I actually dealt with it with my youngest son when we still lived in Midwest City, and he was in middle school. There was a person that had been picking on him and picking on him and picking on him, and I finally said, look, you don't start it. But if he starts it, you better finish it. Well, I can't do that, Dad. They're going to get on to me if I do that. You let me and your mom worry about that. As long as you're not the one starting the fight, I will have your back. As long as you can prove to me that you didn't do anything to instigate it, as long as it doesn't come out that you were involved in it somehow, other than defending yourself, I will always have your back. And that's what I've told every single one of my kids. Well, so the time came, and this was after weeks of this kid just randomly just coming up and shoving my son for no reason. At one point, he actually shoved him in the back and caused him to fall over, so that was when my son finally had enough. So he turned around and just hauled off and knocked the snot out of this kid, to the point where he broke one of his teeth. So then the mom and I start getting phone calls from the school. You need to come get your son. He's being suspended. This, and this. And I was like, suspended for what? He was fighting. Did he start the fight? Well, Mr. Robinson, that doesn't matter. What matters is we have a policy in this school that if someone is picking on you or trying to assault you, then you lay on the ground, curl up in a ball, and start screaming for help, and it's what we call armadilloing. So I called the wife, found out if she could take off work. She said she couldn't, so I did, because I could. So I called the school back and said, hey, I will be up there to get my son in about 20 minutes. And if I see you, we're going to put this armadilloing thing to the test. So, of course, when I picked up my son, the vice principal, who ironically enough became my son's high school principal years later when we moved, changed complete school districts, changed towns, changed all of the above. My son's senior year, this asshat became his high school principal. And then they tried to cityfy a country school, so that didn't last very long. That was fun to watch. But anyway, so picked up my son, got the story, and basically was told, I'd already talked to you about it. He's been messing with me for weeks. He did this, he did that, and he pushed me into a locker earlier and caused me to fall from behind. So I did what you said. I got up and said if he came at me again, I was going to knock his block off, and he charged me, so I knocked his block off. Like, okay, well, I told you, as long as it wasn't you that started it, you would be okay. Well, now they're going to give me ISS, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. I'm like, I don't care. I said, at least this kid knows not to mess with you anymore. So the reason I bring this up is because this was just brought to my attention through X. This is from Insider Paper. A Texas mom allegedly gave her son a mixed drink of lemon, salt, and vinegar in an effort to prevent bullies at school from stealing the drink from her child. A child who drank the mixed beverage was hospitalized per CBS. So first of all, who the hell gets hospitalized for drinking natural stuff? For one. For two, as I quote tweeted this and said a moment ago, if there's no FAing, there's no FOing. So the kid brought it on himself. You jacked the kid's drink and then drank it, and then you wound up going to the hospital. So, of course, everybody, well, it's 50-50 on the thread. A lot of parents are like, bravo, brava, blah, 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 and then other people are like, that's just mean. No, it's not mean. It's not mean. And I've seen the same thing happen at work. Like, I've seen people who have purposely left something for their lunch that was so hot because they know somebody's been stealing their food, but they don't know who, and they could never prove it. And so they went to security, they went to higher-ups, they went to everybody, and everybody was like, yeah, it's not really that big a deal. Well, it was to this person, because this person had been stealing their lunch for weeks. So they bought the hottest thing they could find, and then put extra peppers on top of it, and then put it in the refrigerator. And later that day, the person that had been stealing their food this entire time was in the break room screaming, wailing, and crying because of how hot the sandwich was when they bit into it. And that person was later terminated. Like I said, if there's no FAing, there's no FOing. And that's kind of where we need to get to, because we are letting everybody FA right now. And I mean everybody. We're letting the transgender FA. We're letting people with ties to ISIS FA. We've elected terrorists into Congress. And yes, I said what I said. Because they are terrorist or terrorist sympathizers, and either way, that's just as bad to me. Now, we're going to take a break. When we come back, though, we're going to start getting into why it's so bad that we've elected terrorist sympathizers, why it's so bad that we have an open border, and why it lends credence to the fact that we have more and more proof that they are coming after everything that you and I love, and at some point we're going to have to make a decision as to whether or not we're going to let them keep doing it. Now, it's not just up to me, it's not just up to you, because 2, 3 dozen, 4 dozen, 5 dozen people can't save the country. But we can start working on making sure that we can keep the parts of it that we have at least a limit of control over, or a modicum of control over, safer. That's my crazy thought for the day. Because, I've been told I'm crazy before. Might as well start embracing it. Just saying. Alright, so we are going to take a break. Again, Hour 2 coming at you on the other side. Stay tuned.
Better back down, you're in my domain. Got the whole crowd screaming out our name. It's a blowout, it's a hurricane, it's over before you know it. While you're shaking, we're a dynasty in the making. We're the royalty. Now we're breaking down the enemy. Move over. For the soldiers. Take a swing, I can take a hit. If we die, it's fine. We live for this.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
I'm not afraid to take a stand, take a stand. Everybody, come take my hand, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together through the storm, whatever weather, cold or warm. Let you know that you're not alone, not afraid. I'm not afraid to take a stand, take a stand. Everybody, come take my hand, come take my hand. We'll walk this road together through the storm, whatever weather.
And coming at you live this Tuesday afternoon is hour 2 of the Rick Robinson Show. You know how I know that I surround myself with some of the best and smartest people, even if I know most of them online? This guy who's hanging out in the chat right now, who I happen to be in some DMs with, actually stole the opening sentence from my hour 2 monologue and didn't even realize it. Yeah, so what if I told you the reason they're able to come after everything that you and I hold so dear, and why it gets so confusing about us trying to stop them, is what if I told you we've been taken over by authoritarians on both sides? What if I told you we've been taken over by authoritarians on both sides? I've been trying to explain this since the day that I got into podcasting, because and I'm not talking about rank-and-file Americans. I'm talking about the people that we're putting into authority, and this is why I've been trying to explain for a long time, and now I'm afraid that ship may have sailed because everything's as polarized as it is now. But I used to firmly believe that if we could take and just set aside the 7 or 8 things that we're never going to agree on, that we could find so much common ground among everyday rank-and-file Americans that we could start figuring out how to fix the country without the government's help. Because the government doesn't help. They tell you they're going to help, and then they don't. And before you start screaming and yelling at me, this is an issue that is going on both sides. Now, the Democrats have had control of all 3 branches of, the 2 major branches of government, been able to influence the third a lot more often than the Republicans. So if the border was actually the big issue that they say it is, and you've even heard Joe Biden from the past arguing with present-day Joe Biden about whether or not the border should be closed, because Joe Biden from 2008 said yes, Joe Biden of today says no. But my point is, if they really wanted to fix the issues that actually bother me and you and other everyday average Americans, they could. But you know why they don't? Because they would start relegating themselves into obsolescence. They need us to be divided. They need us to be fighting amongst ourselves. They need us to be pigeonholed into smaller and smaller categories so that we identify with fewer and fewer of the people around us, so that we see them as the enemy, not the people that are in power. The people that are in power do not care about you or me one iota. They are there to enrich themselves under the guise of making the country a better place, and then they leave. And they do it over and over and over again, time and time and time again, while telling you, if you'll just give a particular side control, we can finally fix everything, except they don't. The closest we ever got to starting to get things fixed was the contract with America. That was the first time that I saw somebody actually step up and give the illusion of trying to fix things in a way that everybody thought was actually palatable and okay. But the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, the people that are putting money in these people's pockets, which gets them to D.C. in the first place, don't want any of these things to be fixed. I've been telling you for years, both sides need illegal immigration for different reasons. The problem is, because everyone knows both sides need illegal immigration for different reasons, we now live in a world where people are actively trying to destroy us. So, because there is a group of people that are actively trying to destroy us, because we are the big Satan, Israel is the little Satan, and they want us both wiped off the map, and I've been trying to tell you guys this for a long time. There was a very popular saying among Muslims in the 50s. First the Saturday people, then the Sunday people. This has been around for a very, very long time. So, Christopher Wray has taken a pause in hunting insurrectionists and is now admitting that we have a much bigger problem. Sorry, that was my attempt at sounding like Elmer Fudd. That is not an impression that I've worked on, so it was probably terrible, and I apologize. So FBI Director Wray pauses from hunting for insurrectionists to warn of border network with ISIS ties. No, does he actually think he's telling us something new? Some of us have been screaming this for years. This is why we need the border closed. We don't need amnesty. We don't need immigration law changes. The first thing we need to do is lock down our border so it's more watertight than a duck's ass. That's what we need to do. And I'm sorry for the descriptor, but it's the truth. It turns out that the Biden regime's open southern border is actually a national security threat after all. Why, who could have imagined such a thing? On Monday, FBI top dog Christopher Wray revealed that the border region was full of very dangerous threats, and that one of these was a smuggling network linked to the Islamic State, otherwise known as ISIS, which has repeatedly called upon Muslims to attack ordinary Americans in order to strike terror in the enemies of Allah. That's from the Quran, chapter 8, verse 60. Wow. Who could have possibly imagined that opening up our southern border might make Americans more vulnerable to jihad terrorists? Apparently the FBI didn't, or they didn't give a crap, because for the past 3 years, it's been devoting the bulk of its resources to hunting for insurrectionists and white supremacists that Wray and others have repeatedly insisted constitute the greatest terror threat the nation faces today. The ridiculous claims about white supremacist terrorists are, as well as the agency's focus on January 6th insurrectionists, were a thinly veiled attempt to criminalize and destroy all political opposition to the Biden regime in the U.S., but now reality has intruded onto this narrative to the extent that Wray and his henchmen can't ignore the jihad threat any longer. And with attacks likely in the U.S., he has to pretend he is on top of the situation. In reality, the FBI has been in denial about the nature and magnitude of the jihad threat for years, and almost certainly will not be able to stop future jihad attacks in the U.S. because it is still so ideologically blinkered and politicized that it doesn't even know what to look for. That's a weird use of the word blinkered. I've never seen that before. Anyway, nevertheless, Wray did his best to give the appearance of being vigilant under questioning from Senator Marco Rubio, Republican, Florida, during a hearing of the Senate Intelligence Committee on Monday. From an FBI perspective, said the top FBI apparatchik, which I don't know why they keep throwing Russian words at me lately. I've been having to look them up. We are seeing a wide array of very dangerous threats that emanate from the border and that also include everything from drug trafficking, The FBI alone seized enough fentanyl in the last 2 years to kill 270 million people. And how many people are currently in America? That's just on the fentanyl side. An awful lot of violent crime in the United States is the hands of gangs who are themselves involved in the distribution of fentanyl. The threat, however, also includes Islamic State jihadis, Ray continued. So I want to be a little bit careful how far I can go in open session. But there is a particular network that where some of the overseas facilitators of the smuggling network have ISIS ties that we're very concerned about, and that we've been spending enormous amounts of effort with. This is my hand-waking gesture in case you I don't have camera yet. I probably will eventually. With our partners investigating exactly what the network is up to is something that's, again, the subject of our current investigation. Rubio then asked him to confirm that there is a network we are concerned about that has facilitators involved with ties to ISIS. Ray again responded that that is correct. What? So, you're telling me that we were right again? It's a conspiracy theory that ISIS is trying to import terrorists from the southern border, and if you say that, you're a racist. But we were right again. This is what I'm talking about. We need to stop voting with our emotions and start voting from a logical perspective. If this country doesn't start having babies again, it's going to cease to exist. If this country doesn't stop importing people that want to kill us, it is going to cease to exist. And despite what the Agenda 2030 crowd wants you to believe, this world is not going to operate properly with a much lower population unless there is a centralized agency of control. And that's what they've been trying to do. They are trying to erase your freedoms. They are trying to erase my freedoms, and they are trying to dwindle the population at the same time. And the scariest thing about every single bit of this is we are letting it happen. Do you realize that the food that we give ourselves every single day is actually designed to kill us? They want us fat and immobile. That's what they want, and it's working. Because it's going to make it much easier for them to round us up when that time comes. And I say none of this lightly, and I am adjusting my tinfoil hat daily. But everything that I have ever tried to tell you has turned out to be true, including the fact that we were importing the people that are going to eventually kill us. And if you don't believe me, I need you to understand that some of these people that are randomly just going up and shoving people that are here illegally, that are randomly just shoving people off of subway platforms and beating the crap out of cops, you don't think this is by design? You don't think this is by design? But let me explain it to you in a way that hopefully you're going to understand it. Because this starts to accomplish everything. It lowers our population because they don't care how many of us die, because they need a certain number of us to die off anyway because they feel like the planet is unsustainable at our current population levels. I need you to understand what I just said. They, the powers that be, feel like our planet is unsustainable at the current population levels, and they have told you this over and over and over again. Every time they go on their little private jets to their world summits about climate change and how close the world is to the tipping point, they have told you over and over and over again that a certain number of us have to die, and that we have to become comfortable with not owning anything, that we have to become comfortable with the concept of eating bugs for protein. But there's a reason they're telling you this. Because one, they think you're too stupid to care anymore. Two, they're telegraphing everything to everybody else so let them know, for the people that, you know, are that think they're going to be part of the bourgeoisie, that they're letting them know what's coming next. The problem is half these people that think they're going to rise to the top as the rest of the world starts falling are going to find out that they're going to be in the mud with the rest of us, assuming you and I are still here to see it. Because there will be a ruling elite class, there pretty much already is, that is now an amalgamation of our political arm and our media arm. The modern day mainstream media in America has become Pravda, and nobody's talking about it. But the worst thing is, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just happening here. I wish it was just happening here. We might have been able to fight it if it was just happening here. But it's happening in Europe too. Muslims who want to destroy America are being imported into the West on a daily basis. Muslims that want to destroy the entirety of Western civilization and the liberty and the liberalism that it brought to half of the world want it destroyed. They want it all gone. They need it wiped out. The problem that I keep coming to, and I keep having to say this over and over and over again, is we are letting them destroy us because we're so afraid of hurting anybody's feelings anymore that we won't call things as they are. Ilhan Omar should have never been allowed into this country. She should have never been allowed to run for office. She should have never been allowed to take the oath of office. And if anything, she should have already been impeached, removed, and tried for treason because she's broken her oath of office a half a dozen times. But sure, let's keep talking about Orange Man bad. Let's keep talking about the testimony that came out the other day about him supposedly reaching for the steering wheel and trying to get into the January 6th insurrection, which didn't actually happen. Let's talk about the fact that Liz Cheney has hidden evidence from committee that would have exonerated Donald Trump because he kept reaching out to people and having the people in his administration reach out to people in D.C. over and over again and say, we have a QRF ready, we have 10,000 troops ready, where do you want them, when do you need them? And they kept saying no. These people were instigating this and causing this because they were trying to instigate a civil war. And it didn't work. It didn't work. If Donald Trump was the dictator that everyone says that he is, we would have had a wall built. Nobody would have been able to stop him. I, for one, probably would have been cheering that. And yes, I get it. I'm cheering for the authoritarian bent that I agree with. But we got to do something with this border, or it ain't going to matter. Then the other problem that we have is, I've said this again, if Donald Trump was really trying to foment insurrection, it would have been pretty simple for him to call up the top general and be like, I want martial law declared, and I want martial law declared now. And when the top general said no, looks at the general's lieutenant and be like, you're going to take care of this guy so you can be in charge. Donald Trump is an asshole. But Joe Biden is also an asshole. I'm picking the asshole who isn't trying to openly kill me. I'm picking the asshole who isn't openly trying to destroy the capitalist way of life. Because capitalism is the engine that drives the world, much like the small business is the engine that drives the U.S. economy. And I get it, crony capitalism is bad, oligarchy is bad, but when you have a buffet full of crap sandwiches and you have to pick one, pick the one that you most agree with. And if you are a communist, then vote Joe Biden. But stop telling me you're not a communist when you're voting for Joe Biden. Stop telling me you don't support terrorists like Hamas if you're voting for Joe Biden. Because Joe Biden is now openly calling for a ceasefire, which will allow Hamas to go back, lick its wounds, and hide and rebuild, which is unacceptable. Could you imagine the outcry if after 9/11 Israel would have come to us and said, you really need to calm your shit, bro? Can you imagine? But Joe Biden is too interested in trying to thread a needle and hang on to both sides of his base while his party in this country is crumbling around him. Everybody wants to talk about the disarray in the Republican Party, and I don't disagree that there is disarray. But I still think we are a hell of a lot more amalgamated than the groups that have been part of the left coalition for so long, because they have lost their ever-loving minds. So again, I have to ask you this question, and I'm asking you this question not to influence your vote, but to get you to seriously think about it. Do you honestly think this country can survive 4 more years of what we've been through for the last 3? Because I can tell you, I don't think we can. Do you realize that inflation, even though the rate of inflation is slow, do you realize that inflation is 33% higher than the Fed's 2% target right now? 33%. Now, I get it. That's not the numbers they give you, because they remove all of these little things that are actually impactors and indicators of inflation to make the numbers seem better than they are. But the actual rate of inflation right now is, the actual inflation amount is 33%. That means your money and my money is going 1/3 further than it used to. That means most everything, when it's all averaged together, is 1/3 more expensive than it used to be. And I know this because, I opened the show with this. I had to put in a work group that we are going to be downgrading the package for the backbone that we use sooner than I expected to have to do it, because we're about to change platforms for our live broadcast so I can incorporate costs there. But part of the reason we're having to do it is because I honestly can't afford to keep paying the bill that we're paying for the account that we use. So I'm going down to a lesser package to allow us to stay on the air and get ready to transition into the other streaming service that we're going to be using for live broadcast, because that will save me money on both ends. But I'm having to seriously start looking at ways that I can cut corners to continue to do what we do, because even though I am making good money, and I make about what I made before, by the time I pay all the bills I have to pay, and by the time I buy all the food I have to buy, and by the time I pay for all the things that we have to be able to do this, I don't have enough money left anymore. Because it's not going as far as it used to. And I'm not saying that to whine or complain or anything else. I'm just telling you that's how it is. Because everybody is feeling the pinch when it comes to life under Joe Biden. And the one thing that I do remember, and the one thing that I'm looking forward to if we have our way beginning in 2025, is that we were energy independent under Donald Trump. Everybody was getting raises under Donald Trump. Now, the funny thing is, Donald Trump took a lot of Reagan's trickle-down policies and used them, and according to the left, those policies don't work, but they were going along like gangbusters for 3 years. Now, did Donald Trump get played by the establishment? Yes. Has Joe Biden already started taking steps to make sure that Donald Trump can't do what he wants to do, which is basically gut the executive branch when he gets there? Yes. But again, I ask you this question. Who's the actual dictator? Did Donald Trump put any policies or procedures in place to make life harder for Joe Biden? No. Has Joe Biden already put policies and procedures in place in the event that he loses to make things harder for the next president, which will likely be Donald Trump if that's the case? Yes. So again, I ask you, who is the actual dictator? Who? Who's currently locking up journalists? Who's currently putting and leaving in jail grandmothers for trespassing at the Capitol? So you can tell me all day long that Donald Trump is a monster, and you could be right. I have been trying to tell you guys for years that pretty much everybody in the public spotlight has either a touch of narcissism, a touch of sociopathy, or both. Because it's the only way that they would subject themselves to what they have to subject themselves to what they have to subject themselves to over and over and over again. So, just to finish off this article before we take the final break of the show, Ray doesn't seem to have been asked any questions about the larger picture. That is how we got into a situation in which members of a bloodthirsty jihad terror group that has repeatedly vowed the mass murder of Americans came to be operating in the border areas in the first place. The FBI is investigating a situation that the corrupt regime in the White House, a regime that the agency indefatigably supports has created. The FBI did all it could to defame and destroy the regime's chief rival and the Republic itself along with it by working to criminalize loyal opposition. Not only has there been an ongoing legal persecution of Donald Trump, but there was also the Disinformation Governance Board that would have police speech that dissented from the left's establishment perspective. The regime sicked the FBI on angry parents protesting at school board meetings, worked with Twitter and other social media giants to silence and deplatform people with opposing views, and even sent spies into Catholic churches. And now Christopher Wray is worried about ISIS activity at the border? This is a problem that could have been solved years ago. If the FBI hadn't been weaponized against the political opponents of the Biden regime and had been focused on actually protecting the American people. That ship, however, has sailed long ago, and no protestations of vigilance to Marco Rubio will change that. If ISIS does strike in the U.S., Christopher Wray and his ilk will bear a great deal of responsibility for allowing it to happen. And again, this was primarily, along with my ad-libs, PJ Media, Dateline Today, authored by Robert Spencer. All right, final break of the show, and then we still have some. I haven't even gotten through a third of my notes today. I feel like we're living in. I feel like we're living in like the live action version of Lord of the Flies or something. I don't know how we got here. I don't know how we fix it, short of tearing it down and starting over. I really kind of wish we had pushed harder for the whole Article 5 thing forever ago. Just saying. Alright, last break of the show. Coming at you. I'm Rick Robinson. This is my show. You are listening to us live on KLRNradio.com, and we'll be right back.
You are a riptide to me that's dragging me down. Strike a match and I'll burn you to the ground. We are the jack-o'-lanterns in July, setting fire to the sky. Here comes this rising tide. So come, put on your war paint. Across walks and crossed hearts and hope to dice through the clouds with ray lighting. So we can take the world back from a heart attack. One maniac at a time, we will take it back. You know time crawls on when you're waiting for the song to start. So dance alone to the beat of your heart. Hey, young blood, doesn't it feel like our time is running out? I'm gonna change you like a remix. Then I'll raise you like a
Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
In uncertain times, we could use someone to lean on. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma will stand by you with plan options to fit your budget. If you've recently lost your job, had a baby, or moved, you can still get the healthcare coverage you and your family need. Financial help may be available for those who qualify. Call 855-452-BLUE or visit hereforyouok.com to see if you're eligible to enroll. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Oklahoma, a division of Healthcare Service Corporation, a mutual legal reserve company.
If you prefer real mornings, shouldn't you have a real breakfast? At McDonald's, we get real about breakfast. That's why you can have a savory sausage biscuit with delicious hash browns for only $1.50. It's time to wake up breakfast. Single item at regular price. Prices and participation may vary. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
The following program contains coarse language and adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome back into the program, ladies and gentlemen. Final segment of the Tuesday edition of the Rick Robinson Show is coming at you live right here on KLRMradio.com. Remember, we do this thing every Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Eastern. I guess I need to start looking at the calendar before I do the show closes, though, because I completely forgot to plug Aggie and Jeff's book podcast last night. So if you haven't caught that yet, please go check it out. It's available on our website under our shows page, or you can find it. I think by now they have enough episodes that it's probably starting to pop up pretty much everywhere that you can do your whole podcast listening. But again, thanks to everybody who listens to KLRN Radio, whether it's the shows that I do, whether it's the shows that I help produce, whether it's the shows that I'm not involved in at all. We're just glad people listen. It's part of the reason why we started doing what we do. And I feel like I haven't told this story in a while. I think it may be time to tell it again. Part of the reason why I started doing this, because I have been a fan of talk radio for as long as there has basically been talk radio, which, believe it or not, modern day talk radio was started by Rush Limbaugh. I mean, they're at least as far as modern day conservative leaning talk radio, it was started by Rush Limbaugh. And I had been a fan of Rush's for forever. I even remember when he had his TV show when I was junior and senior in high school, and I never missed an episode. I didn't listen as much to the radio stuff until I got a little bit older. At some point it started feeling like I needed to stay involved. I needed to be informed, and talk radio was one of the easiest ways to do it. But then the more I started listening to talk radio, the more I realized that as great as it was almost like once they got to a certain point, they really stopped listening to the people that were supporting them and got them to the point where they were. And that was one of the things that honestly started irritating me. So then I came up with the idea shortly after Obama killed my business, and now Biden's trying to take out my next business. I hate Democrats. Anyway. But yeah, Obama basically single-handedly killed my first company, which was the security and private investigations firm that I ran. I've been running this one in one iteration or another since 2012, and seemed like things were getting to the point where viability was happening well enough that I could step away from the day job and start focusing more on this. And unfortunately, even though all of the things fell in place pretty much the way they needed to, it's still been really, really hard. And I'm not saying that to whine. I'm just saying we need to start focusing on electing people to office that aren't actively trying to kill our dreams as a money redistribution scheme. And everything the Democrats throw at you is a money redistribution scheme. Everything from climate change to you need an electric stove to you need an electric car. It's all the same thing. But that's part of what started making me want to build KLRN Radio. Again, which originally started under a completely different banner. But again, I had no idea how to do it. But I kept plugging away at it. And here we are now, 10, 15 years later, 16 years later. And I've had hosts that have covered the GOP convention, which required congressional level approval, by the way. I've had hosts that have covered political events like SRLC. I happen to be one of them. I've had hosts that have covered things like CPAC. I happen to be one of those too. As a matter of fact, I've started looking to see what other political conventions and stuff there might be, so we can start sending more people out to cover those things. Because it is something that I do full time now. And because I've become at least somewhat well known, I've been able to write for different publications. One of the ones I write for now is Twitchy. Unfortunately, I haven't been writing there as much as I wanted to because there's been some other things that I've been doing instead. But we're trying to get back into that. But I say all of this not to brag, but to let you know that it's not easy, but you can find ways to try to influence those that are around you by using your time, your talents, and your gifts in whatever way that you can. And I strongly encourage everyone who can hear my voice to do that. If you're not doing that already, just start thinking about how you can. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I've said this before, national politics is sexy. National politics is where the money is at. Whether you're trying to cover it, whether you're trying to be part of it, all of the above, that's where most of the money is at. But that's not where the real sausage is made. Everybody talks about how the red wave didn't materialize the way we expected it to in 2022, and that wasn't wrong. But what they don't talk about was the number of school boards that were changed, the number of elected officials in city positions that went from blue to red, the number of people that started running on the platforms of freedom that actually managed to win. National elections are where countries go to die. Local elections are where countries go to survive. Because unlike trickle-down economics, politics is backwards. It's from the bottom up. If we don't keep impacting the ways that our children learn and making changes to how they learn, and keep buying into this whole idea that our public education system doesn't need an overhaul and doesn't need tons of changes, even our extended education system through college or our higher education, if you don't see now how badly and direly that needs an overhaul, then I don't really know how to help you. I'm not even sure why you still live here. Because these people are openly supporting people that hate us. Hamas wants us dead as much as they want Israel dead. But Israel is their primary target right now because they want Israel to be gone. Because they feel like Israel is holding them down. And Israel, much like America, has been trying to be loved and accepted by people that want them dead. So they've been supplying them with free potable water. They've been supplying them with free power. They removed themselves from settlements and said, it's yours, do with it what you wish. And yet, the Gazans overwhelmingly elected Hamas into their government. And I say this a lot, but I know that some of you that are on the other side of the aisle, every time you hear me say this, the first thing you think is, well, yeah, but they also suspended elections just after they did that. That's not our fault. We didn't tell them to do that. Israel didn't tell them to do that. And unless I'm mistaken, there's probably more Gazans than there are Hamasians. I know that's not a word. I don't know what to call them, other than assholes. I don't know what to call them. So I'm pretty sure if the people in Gaza actually didn't want to be ruled by these psychos, they could probably do something about it. But they don't. And they don't because they don't like Israel either. Now that doesn't mean everybody that lives there doesn't, but for the most part it does. Because the Islamists that can get along with Israel, they were already living in Israel. But again, our primary concern is, has, and should have been since September 11th, 2000, what was it? 2001? Yeah, September 11, 2001. Needs to be and should have always been the extermination of groups of people that want to kill us. And I know that is a painful thing to hear. It's a painful thing to say. But you cannot make a bully love you. You can make a bully tolerate you if you stand up to them. But we're not talking about bullies. We're talking about people that are willing to die to kill you. Because they firmly believe if they die while trying to kill you, they're going to wind up with 70 versions, I don't even remember the exact number anymore. But it's a lot. I think it's 70. Pretty sure it's a mistranslation. Pretty sure it says 70 angry dudes named Virgil, but what do I know? I just know that I'm tired of having to tiptoe around people's feelings, because they don't. That's the thing. They want us to tiptoe around their feelings, but they don't tiptoe around ours. And I'm tired of having to live life by separate rules for everybody. They were the ones pushing for Trump supporters to be run out of restaurants. They were the ones for Trump supporters to be accosted at gas stations. And now that the people that support Hamas are starting to do it to them, they don't like it. We didn't make this mess. You guys did. You turned half the country into terrorists while not realizing that a good group of the people that support you are actually terrorists. And the very racist you've been calling us. I'm over it. I'm done. I'm not being nice anymore. Because these people hate us. A lot of the people on the left hate us. Some of the people on the right even hate us. Because they're supposedly on the right. You know what I think Liz Cheney's biggest issue was? I think Liz Cheney's biggest issue was she honestly thought that Jebby Jeb would get into the White House and she'd get a cabinet position. And when it didn't happen, she was mad. So there's been a story that came to my attention yesterday, and it started coming out before, or I guess right before the show closed, but I already had everything planned out. So this is a bit of a weird one, though. So apparently there's some weird stuff going on in Haiti. So we're gonna dive into this a little bit. So again, this is from our friends at PJ Media. Been spending a lot of time on their website today. On a long enough timeline, every Monty Python sketch comes true. It seems like only a couple of years ago that the editors here reminded you of the classic scene from Monty Python's Life of Brian that both mocked and predicted today's trans insanity. When Rebel leader Stan Eric Idle reveals that he wants to be called Loretta and that he wants to have babies, his comrade Reg, John Cleese, wouldn't have any of it. Reg, what's the point? Francis, what? Reg, what's the point of fighting for his right to have babies when he can't have babies? Francis, it is symbolic of our struggle against oppression, symbolic of his struggle against reality. Even the Python boys, and they are all XY endowed actual males, might not dare to film that scene today. Today we aren't supposed to talk about cannibalism in the Royal Navy, in Haiti. May I take this opportunity of emphasizing that there is no cannibalism in the British Navy. Graham Chapman, RN officer, said to a reporter in the classic Expedition of Lake Tahoe sketch. Absolutely none. And when I say none, I mean there's a certain amount, more than we are prepared to admit. Western news sources are mostly hush-hush on the issue of people who eat people. The luckiest people in the world, according to the song, as Haiti collapses, but the most powerful man in Haiti is a gang leader they call Barbecue. Because of his penchant for burning people alive, there was at least one video going around Twitter X of the gang member tearing flesh from the legs of a burning corpse and eating it. The clip has since been pulled. There's no cannibalism in Haiti, absolutely none. And when I say none, I mean that there is a certain amount. That was written by Stephen Green. Some dispute whether or not any actual human leg was eaten or if maybe the video was a year or two old. What doesn't seem to be in dispute is that a guy named Barbecue, in the local parlance, has helped provide all of the necessary ingredients. Random violence approaching famine, crispy human flesh for cannibalism to come into practice in the Western Hemisphere, poorest and most screwed up nation. Rights group Plan International said many were fleeing the capital of Artibonite, traditionally Haiti's breadbasket farming region, Reuters reported last week, but whose residents are now facing food shortages as fighting spreads north. Biden administration on Saturday was forced to close the U.S. Embassy in Port-au-Prince and airlift out all American personnel. CBS News said that the move was due to escalating gang violence, which is likely referring to D-Day as an Allied visit to which is like referring to D-Day as an Allied visit to the charming beaches of Normandy. Haiti's Prime Minister Ariel Henry fled the country last week and on Tuesday announced that he will resign. The former was absolutely necessary for his own safety, and the latter seems superfluous. Henry's resignation becomes effective as soon as the Presidential Transition Council is set up in consultation with various Haitian stakeholders. This is the equivalent of a few sheep negotiating over who will run the local packs of coyotes. State of State, Anthony Blinken offered another $100 million in American money to pay for a Kenya-led security force to take over governance of the ungovernable country. Swear, not making that up. So yeah, this is the world we live in, and if you think this is the point. The wheels are coming off everywhere, but they wanted them to. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, we now know beyond a reasonable doubt that China was involved in the creation of the COVID-19 virus because it was manipulated, and we know that because there was a synthetic spike protein. We now know that our own NIH was in bed with China. We now know beyond a reasonable doubt that China tried to insulate its own population from contracting the coronavirus while allowing people that had contracted the coronavirus to travel worldwide. Why do you suppose that is? Because they are trying to collapse the world's economy. China is already making power moves to start making the yuan the international money for trade. These are the things that have been happening right under our nose while we have the great pudding eater sitting in the sitting in as POTUS in the Oval Office. He's too busy worried about what flavor of ice cream he has and how much fun it is to bang his wife Jill than actually taking care of the country. And no matter the amount of smoke and cover fire the media gives him, no matter the amount of smoke and cover fire the FBI gives him, no matter the amount of cover fire the CIA and anybody else gives him, this is a doddering old fool who never should have been elected in the first place, who likely stole the election in 2020. Can I say that 100% definitively? No, but I can tell you that I'm 99% certain that it happened because I watched it happen live on the air, and I listened to the people that were telling us that counting is done for the night, and we will start counting again before 9 o'clock Eastern time, or around 9 o'clock Eastern time in the morning, once the situations are resolved. And then somehow, well before 9 p.m. in the morning, the ballot fairies had shown up, and Joe Biden needed the exact number of votes that he needed, only in key cities, to be able to swing the pendulum the other way. These people don't like us. These people don't want us here. They need us gone because we are the people who are trying to remain free, and they don't want us to do that. They need us to kneel. They need us to bow. And I, for one, refuse to do that. I will not speak for you. I will not speak for anyone else, but I will speak for me when I say that there is only one person on this earth that I will ever bow to, and that is Jesus Christ. So, for all of you people that have both versions of TDS, whether it's Trump derangement or Trump deity syndrome, we are not the same. For those of you that have put Joe Biden on a pedestal, we are not the same. I want my country back. I want the freedoms back that we took for granted for so long that they have been stripped from us. I want those back. I want the freedom back to be able to live my life in the way that I choose to live it. And that doesn't mean subjecting anybody to whatever that lifestyle is. It just means I want the freedom to be able to pursue my dreams and the things that make me happy. And I know most of us want those things too. And the simple fact of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, we are not free anymore. And we were in the process of becoming free again. I need you to understand what I'm saying. Under Donald Trump, we were in the process of undoing decades of damage in this country. And our own organizations partnered with the communists to derail that. I need you to hear me. The NIH and the Chi-Coms worked together to derail our economy, to force us to stay home, and to get rid of a president. This is why so many people want Grudge Match 2.0. I didn't understand it even when it was happening. until I started putting all the pieces together. And it finally dawned on me, because I'd been telling you guys this for a long time, that Anthony Fauci and the NIH was involved in what happened in China. But it never really occurred to me until it started coming out about the FBI and the CIA working together to try to derail the Trump campaign, that it wasn't just that simple. That the NIH and China had worked together to institute a worldwide collapse and hopefully the removal of a sitting president. And it almost worked, and it still may. This is why things have gotten as bad as they are. This is why the left is so rabid right now. Their masks slipped off badly in 2020, and they didn't think they were going to have to put them back on again, because they thought we were past the tipping point. And then more and more Americans started waking up, and I'm like, wait a minute. So when Donald Trump says that $30 worth of drugs and some sunshine would have fixed us along with some orange juice, that was the truth. That was the truth. Anyway, so we have reached the point where I do have to tell you that this particular show is over. Don't forget, tonight, starting at Aggie time, 8:30 p.m. Eastern, we will have the Cocktail Lounge. I will be producing, they will be doing the talking, so if you don't like the sound of my voice, don't worry, you don't have to hear it that often. And then tomorrow night we have full schedule. You guys are welcome to check that out on the KLRMradio.com calendar, and I'll be back with you tomorrow. I am going to take a short break, try to get rid of a headache that I'm currently trying to take on, and then dive back in and try to get some writing done today in a few different places, because the problem I have is not that I don't know what I want to write about. There's just so many different things that I want to write about that I don't know where to start, so it's created its own version of Vaporlock. All right, we're getting out of here. So unfortunately, I have to tell you this particular show is over.
What? Over? Did you say over? Nothing is over until we decide it is. Was it over when the Germans bombed Pearl Harbor? Hell no!
Closing time. Open all the doors and let you out into the woods.
This isn't over until I say it's over!
Closing time.
Well, that's great. That's just fucking great, man. Now what the fuck are we supposed to do? Game over, man. It's game over.
Closing time. Time for you to go out to the places you will be from. Closing time. This room won't be open till your brothers or your sisters come.
I love you, Oklahoma. What a great crowd. I love you.